whole nother level, but still keep it ghetto. Whole nother level, but still keep it ghetto.
Welcome to episode 25 of The Process of Hip Hop. I'm Brian Joseph, writer, blogger at theprocessofhiphop.com. And as always, it's all about the process. In today's interview segment, I'll be talking to Mike Cofield. Mike is the CEO of Atlanta-based Ghetto Records and the author of the book, Getting It Out the Mud, a step-by-step way to release your own music and become rich and famous. So let's get into it. I'd like to welcome to the Process of Hip Hop, all the way from the ATL, Mr. Mike Cofield. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. Just enjoying my day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining the show, man. You and I have had a chance to talk prior to this interview, man. So I'm so glad that we are getting a chance to do this finally. I wanted to start, Mike, with you have a wealth of experience. Tell me about your background, how you specifically got interested in hip hop, and then what gave you the motivation to write your book, Getting Out the Mud.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Brian. And I mean, I think I started out pretty much like any other hip hop head, man, just being, first of all, having a love for the music and probably attempted to rap once or twice and figured out, like rapping one, something that I really would put a lot of time in, but I had a knack for like putting people together. So more or less, I was like, which way would I go? We would go to the studio, and I more or less would always be the person to kind of put this guy with that guy. Let's go over here and talk to these people. And, man, before you know it, man, I would just, like, engulf with the culture.
Was it something you had a start kind of from an artist standpoint, and then you morphed into more of a, would you say, almost like a producer? Not so much making beats, but in terms of like artist development and such. You were kind of more in that lane. Would you say, is that accurate?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would say more or less like I wouldn't say producer, because I ain't really gonna get with none of the artists. I probably would be more or less of the type of person like can put so many different people in a room. You feel me?
Yeah. So
that was something that I honed in more on. Just having that will and connection and knew a lot of people. So I would say more or less of I couldn't even look at it saying a CEO at the time, because I didn't know, I really didn't know what a CEO was. You feel me? So,
right.
Besides probably being a CEO in the street, you feel me? So
yeah.
So that kind of helped a lot of the time too, because like most upstart black businesses started with drugs, you feel me?
Yes,
indeed. And I was just trying to find a way to get out of that, So I was more or less like, man, let me try this. Let me open these doors up. Let me find some cats that want to make beats. More or less of I would say I would just open my door, Brian.
Yeah.
I was just, my main goal was open the studio and keep the door open. You feel me?
Yes.
And I wouldn't even say it was a CEO move, because I later down the line figured out the stuff that I was doing was CEO stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what CEOs do. Go to do in stores, go do promos, set up promo shows, just doing the leg work. You feel me? So.
Now, what was the motivation? The book, Getting Out the Mud, man, I read it. It's an easy read. It's very informative. But what was the motivation for you to write the book? Tell me about how you went from a thought to actually writing, the motivation for writing the book.
Okay. I pretty much had a little sit down from 2000 to 2001 to about 2005. I went to the ranks of, the college, black college that cats don't want to go to, but you got to go if you call, you know. So I ain't trying to glorify that, but you know, sitting down, man, and just thinking about what my next plight was, because I had did a lot of independent releases myself in the '90s, you know, and worked with a lot of different people in Atlanta to the point where I was like, when I left, I saw them people careers just grow. Like speaking of D4L, Mook B, you know, Timo, Cujo, Goody Mob, but most of the cats that weren't out at the time were like Lil Jon. Lil Jon used to be like our set DJ, like in the early '90s, to find out that he became to be the Lil Jon of the day. You feel me? So
yeah.
when I came home, I was just looking, and I really just told God during that time, man, like, you know, I never got any money off the music. So I said, hey, look, if the music is meant for me, it need to come to me in the form of a job, or, you know, or something that I can take care of my family with. And upon coming home, I got phone call after phone call about what I had done, or the music, you know, am I going to move forward? What am I doing? How would I do this? So I say, you know what? I'm getting a lot of phone calls about stuff that people don't know. I can put it in a book. You feel me?
Yeah.
I was like, let me write about it. You know, let me just be able to put something in somebody's hand that they can say, you know, even like I keep reiterating in the book, you know, like, hey, you still going to need some legal help. You still going to need some, you know, some professional accounting help. You feel me? So you still gonna need some professional marketing, promotional people. You still gonna need, you know, it take a team to really just, you know, make your music move like it needs to move. You feel me? So I got the questions. I say, instead of me keep on telling people, I say, just, you know, buy the book, call me for consultation. I can kind of guide you through it, and we'll go from there. You feel me?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you know, because the book really breaks it down from start to finish, as far as, you know, artistry, where you start from. You cover a lot of topics, copyright. You cover, again, some legality issues. You even cover, you know, what's the difference kind of between rich and famous, which is funny because you and I had talked about that before the interview. And I was interested because you've helped so many musicians, but what has been with the book, what has been the response that you've received from musicians and producers? What type of response have you received?
Man, the journey really is just beginning, Brian, and I'm quite sure I'm getting a lot of family members, you know, that's not really musically inclined, but just out of pure support of me, have purchased the book. But the time is coming. The time is coming where I'm going to touch bases with the youth and, you know, to really get a big response, because if I could touch one person, man, with this book and change their life, basically by knowing how to, you know, how to secure the bag. You know, that's basically that's the premise of this book, is ownership. You know, owning your rights, owning your music, leveraging yourself. You feel me? Just like the same stuff Damon John. Shout out to Damon John, man, Shark Tank, for you know, the book is great. You know, and it's inspirational to the point where that's the same premise of this book, more or less. Anybody can do it. You probably got a book in your head. You're thinking about it. You overthinking it, like most of us do. You know, I didn't shoot for this book to be the best written book. You feel me? But I just know it's my baby, and I know if I nurture it right, you know, ain't no where the book can go. Feel me? So,
now, what was
the process?
What was the process for you developing Ghetto Records? Tell me about that.
Hey man, Ghetto Records was another baby that just I kind of stumbled on, because, like I said, I was trying to find myself, Brian, in the '90s. You know, in the '90s, you know, we were just tribe, and hip hop was, hip hop was hip hop. Hip hop was really at its. To me, I think the '90s was the peak of hip hop.
Golden age, man, definitely.
Golden age of hip hop. So being able to just see so many artists that were probably not reaping the benefit like some of the artists are now, but they had a passion that was so driven to where we would be anywhere in cipher. I'm quite sure the kids today ain't really ciphering like, the '90s, and I ain't no hit on them, but I don't think, they understand that like ciphering was like going to somebody else's neighborhood and playing them in sport.
Yeah,
on their basketball
exactly.
Court, but the '90s of Ghetto Record, man, I just opened my door, and I had a lot of artists that I would challenge, and just be like put a lot of talented artists around each other to like roster. Like my main artist at the time was a kid called Divine. He changed his name a couple of times, up until now he go by. Shout out to my man Terry Miller at 100 Trillion Entertainment, and he was like 15, man. You feel me? 15 years old. And I was like introduced to him by another cat named Ed X, who also introduced me to Cujo and Timo, So I just opened my door and kind of supported them guys' vision. You feel me?
Yeah.
And put my vision with it, to kind of, at the time in the '90s, I had a lot of, street weight. I had a lot of weight, so I can go a lot of different places and take these cats that couldn't probably get in these places with me, to where they would get a chance to, get familiar with these people in these showcases and further their careers. And it ballooned, to where it is now. People still ask me about, that was another thing that made me start relaunching Ghetto Records, hats, merchandise, start, getting at people on my Instagram with Ghetto Records, because a lot of people ask me, what's up with your label? Well, and it was just laying dormant, because of trying to secure what I'm doing now. My day-to-day job is, towing and recycling. So in order to, be able to drop some coins in another basket, I had to maintain that,
Yeah.
to a point to where I'm not going back to prison. You feel me?
Yeah.
So,
now, I was just thinking, I mean, with it, so this is Ghetto Records has been around. This is something nearly 2 decades then. This is going on close to 20 years.
I want to say a couple of years ago, we did a 20-some reunion. I think it might have been 25th. Man, what is this? 1990. I started at 90, but I actually started about 88.
Oh.
Just trying to find myself. But 90, I can say we had started, actually putting out artists and producing for other artists in the city. Like local artists like Sammy Sam, The Hitman, group called Damage. Man, I don't want to call too many names that I can't remember. And,
yeah.
People be like, man, you ain't shout me out. But those are just some, my man TNS Record came, and me and him spoke the other day, and he was like, I told him I was going to do the interview, and he was like, man, you started this before me. So I was trying to put a time on it, because, when I started Ghetto Records, I couldn't officially say a date, because it just became a part of life, so.
One of the things that you and I had talked about, man, prior to the interview, was the difference between, you had talked about a conversation that you've had with artists, whether or not, do you want to be rich or do you want to be famous? And you were saying how all these artists say, it's almost like they more so want to be famous. So, I mean, talk to me about that, man, your views on that.
Yeah, you laugh. You laugh when I say it.
Yeah, right.
I said, you want to be famous, I want to be rich. You feel me? Because I can dodge fame, but with being rich, I can't, I ain't got to dodge my bills.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but, I used to sit the artists down, man, because you got to. I mean, because you got to think, at the time, man, I'm dealing with people, kids, 15, 16-year-old kids, man. So I can't, mislead, and that was just something that I kind of picked up from my mom, though. You feel me? I couldn't let this, because I used to run into my man, Divine Mom. She was like a period cut George, bro. And she used to be like, man, when are you going to get my son a deal? And I'd be like, oh, man, she got so much pressure on me. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to get him a deal. You feel me?
Right.
Because I know how to just put the process together, man. I mean, from Atlanta to New York to LA, knocking on doors and shaking the record companies down, trying to, just get your foot in the door with that type of method, reading a lot of books on music myself back then, and I got to shout out this book because if it wasn't for this book, I forgot the artist name. I forgot the author name, and I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but it's all I need to know about the music business,
Yeah.
And that book launched my career, man. But I said my book is so important because I'm a black author.
Yeah.
Some of these authors that writing books about music cannot embody what I'm gonna tell an artist. What I'm gonna be able to give an artist about the piece that I wrote are my experience. You feel me?
Yes.
So, not publishing music, not copywriting music. Just put music out until when I come home, I look up my artists that I had dealt with, some of the music we had made, and it was online. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. My name, the credit, you know what I mean? I'm like, wow. Like, this is how it's going. So I'm like, okay. So this when I talk to somebody about my music being on some of these sites that I never put it on because in 2000 we didn't really have the internet like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
20 years later, here it is. I'm looking for some of my artists and I see their music on. The artist that we dealt with was Damage. We did this hit called Can't Get No Lower. It was like a local regional hit at the time by a group called Damage. So I called my man. I was like, yo, I see your music, man. It's like the credit is there. The artists are there. His label was TNS Records. All this was on there, but I was like, are you getting paid for this, dude? He was like, nah, I ain't put that on there. So I was like, let me look for my stuff. And I found my stuff. And I was like, that fueled the fire, like, release this book, man, so I can show someone else, like, get the publishing on your music.
Yeah.
Secure your music. Have all the right paperwork with the artist. You feel me?
Definitely.
Because once somebody get it and it's online, it's on Distro Kids or something like that.
Yeah.
What's the distributor that most of the independent people, I think it's Distro Kids. And I'm like, man, I didn't get paid off this, so let me write about this, man. Let me try to circumvent somebody else doing the same thing that I did. You feel me? So.
And there's been so many. When I look at being a hip hop head, I look at how many artists have been famous over the years, but have not necessarily been paid, or have not handled their business. There have been some definite success stories. Like I look at E40 as a trailblazer in that independent artist who had control over his publishing from the very beginning. Until he decided that he was going to let a big record company kind of come in and help distribute, or a Master P, obviously Diddy with Bad Boy Records, and there's definitely been some models, but there's been way too many of individuals who are just so caught up in wanting to be, in front of the camera or in videos, or, they look at the hip hop lifestyle and they don't realize, like, yeah, it's still a business at the end of the day. What is you're so involved, man, again, with different artists, and you're very encouraging, uplifting. What is the next step for you, as we kind of get out of this COVID-19, situation? What is the next step? What's the next direction for you and your movement out there, man? Your Ghetto Records, and what's next for you?
Well, right now we just working on building, branding Ghetto Records. Right now we're not looking for artists, so I'm more or less just, working on web pages, working on foundation, man. Foundation. So the book is my baby right now. So Ghetto Records is living and thriving, but it's gonna be around into infinity. So it's not nothing I'm in a hurry for with Ghetto Records, because it's already established in Atlanta. You feel me? So even in I had my man out here in the 90s that was a part of Ghetto Records too, from Richmond. My man, Po Boy, goes by, man, what was his name, man? Come on, don't let me forget this kid's name. Anyway, he was an Oakland artist, man, in the 90s that migrated down to the AU Center, and once again, he came through the doors of Ghetto Records, man, and like we were getting, artists from New York. One of my men had signed a deal with Wild Pitch through this label called Noontime Records, which is still the house for Jazzy Faye. What's the other man? Brian Michael Cox.
Yeah.
These are some of the people that were able to develop their skill at Noontime. So Noontime, we was in the same area. You feel me? I even tell people, like, my label record, I said my label Ghetto Record was kind of like a buffer label for Noontime, because you see, like, Oakland, he was more established. He had already had big deals, and he was getting people signed. So most of my artists, I didn't like the contract wording back then, Brian, and it's still probably the same. I know it's the same contract that's around, worded the same way, so many pages, and I just tell the kids I can't give none of my kids, artists, these contracts. I just let y'all just curate, just cook up. We'll talk about, some contracts down the line, because none of the contracts lined up with what I believed in.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
It was like 10 albums. When you get paid at McDonald's, I get paid. I was like, hey, man, yo, I'm not signing nobody no contract like this. That's an industry standard. I was like, well, I'm not trying to be the standard of this industry, because it's robbery. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I didn't want my blood on that. I didn't want my skin on that.
Right.
I just let my artists cook out. Just cook up and help them develop, who they are, and the only group that I was able to put together was the Ghetto All-Stars up on the Ghetto Records that we had an actual release. The other artists that got signed to Noontime were one of my producers named Born Immaculate, that ended up doing a lot of stuff on that Shawty Low and D4L album. And Born went to do a lot of, production stuff away from, I got some credit for it up on the Ghetto Record, but I kind of let him just, hey, man, go do your thing.
Right.
With no strings attached,
Right.
With no strings attached. And that way, I didn't know then, but I know now that I don't have a bad name and none of the artists in Atlanta mouth, because I didn't take, you know how this industry go, Brian.
Definitely.
He's taking these cats money, taking these cats music, and I'm not in any legal issues with anybody about music. The artists I developed them pure out of just my heart and just, you know, like if in the 90s, if you were talented, most of these cats didn't have any money. They didn't have any money to promote or market themselves. They didn't have any money really for the studio time. You feel me?
Right.
So I would just, like, once again, I would just open my door. Producers would call me and be like, man, what's the name? You know, he over here. You know, he want to, you know, I was like, what they sound like? You know, I was more or less in what they sound like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they say they dope, they got something to say, I'm like, let them rock out with them, see what they do. You know what I mean? So I still have a lot of relationship with a lot of people, man, that, you know, I just never burned bridges, you know, with them as far as their music. You know, never try to beat them, and, you know, just kept my focus on a legacy more or less than paper. You feel me?
And just like any other industry, relationships are king. You know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's been around, you know, since the dawn of time, and hip hop is the same exact way. So,
yes.
What is the best way for people to? I know this information already, but what's the best way for people to keep in contact with you? What's the best way?
Man, I'm on Instagram at Ghetto Records ATL. I'm on Instagram at Cofield Mike 66 on Instagram, my personal page. Man, I'm in Atlanta, man. My name speaks volumes. You know, just ask around. Just ask around about, you know, just say my name. Just say, you really could just say Cofield in Atlanta, and anybody know me in Atlanta gonna probably say, who, Mike Cofield?
Right. Yep.
It's a household name in Atlanta, man. I'm trying to get it to be a household name in your city. And I meant to ask you the other day, Brian, where you located at? In Long Beach?
Yeah, Long Beach, California. That's where I'm originally from, man.
Yeah, shout out to Long Beach,
yes,
man.
Sir.
My man Brian. The Process of Hip Hop is a dope show. You know, it's a must. He's a person that you must meet. You know, my time is coming when I'm out in LA. I'm coming soon, you know, when everything can, you know, kind of free up and I can travel, because I like to travel. So
yeah,
my mission is, when I come out that way, Brian, I just need to get in front of people, man.
Definitely.
You know, so, you know, just like when you get ready to step out this way, you know, you got open arms, man. I'm not at home right now. We're in Daytona just to finna enjoy this beach for the weekend. But like I say, follow me. I'm gonna send you a link too, Brian, that I would like for you to put on the book on when you post this.
Okay.
So we can kind of just push the culture, man, forward with more knowledge of the industry. You feel me? I got more books coming, Brian, and you know, I want to inspire someone else that have a book locked in your head. Get it out your head, because it's not gonna do any good in your head. You feel me?
Right. Well, get
it out your head.
And the book, you know, the book is called Getting Out the Mud. Check it out on Amazon.com. My man Mike Cofield, thank you so much for joining the Process of Hip Hop, man. Best of luck to you and all your future endeavors, brother.
Say no more.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Process of Hip Hop. Join us next week for our next episode. Process of Hip Hop is produced and edited by me, Brian Joseph. Executive produced by Dale Harewood. Music by DJ Big Mike of Real Side Records at realsiderecords.com.